Nikola Jokic has been one of the best centers in the league for a few years now, and after an impressive season in which he led the Nuggets to the Western Conference Finals, he's finally getting the recognition he deserves. However, there are still plenty of things that are unknown about the Serbian center. So in today's video, we'll be telling you 10 things you didn't know about Nikola Jokic. But before we do that, leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. Number 1. He loves horse racing. Many would be surprised to find out, but Jokic's first love wasn't basketball, it was horse racing. Ever since he went to a race along with his father when he was around 12 or 13 years old, he fell in love with it and started racing just a few years later. Even after the move to the US, Nikola is still active on the horse racing scene in Serbia. In 2017, he bought his own racehorse called Dreamcatcher, as well as a stable, and he spends every summer in Serbia working with the horses and even cleaning the stable. Thankfully for the animals, the nearly 300-pound center uses a sulky to ride his horses. On one occasion during the 2017 offseason, Jokic even invited head coach Mike Malone to join him in his native Sombor and watch his new horse race. It seems like Coach Mike brought good luck as the Dreamcatcher won the race, and that was a reason for a major celebration involving plenty of booze. Jokic said that he loves taking care of horses because they're magnificent creatures and seeing how they live life brings him inner peace. Number 2. Jokic injured his hand signing autographs. You wouldn't think a guy nicknamed the Joker would be boring to be around, and Jokic certainly isn't. And he used to be one of the favorites among younger fans when he was still playing basketball in Serbia. During his young career, despite a surplus of kilograms, Jokic had luckily been able to avoid any major injury and never missed more than a few games here and there. His worst injury, though, is the most bizarre. Jokic's club Mega often organized charity events for the local community where they played basketball with kids aged 8 to 10, and there were often hundreds of them. Being the fun guy that he is, Jokic loved spending time with them, and he did his best to make them laugh. This made him a favorite among the children, and they all wanted to have his autograph. Jokic delivered, but he signed so many that the tendon on his arm got inflamed. Jokic missed around a week of training because of the injury, as well as a few games. Number 3. He hates American food. Nikola is a big fan of eating, and he usually enters each season being a few pounds heavier, especially if he spends the summer in his hometown in Serbia, where he can enjoy his favorite Serbian foods. When it comes to American food, though, Jokic is not a big fan. Jokic has said that while he eats the same things in both countries, primarily chicken, rice, meat, the food in America is prepared differently, and doesn't have the same rich taste that he's used to. This is actually a good thing, added Jokic, as he's not tempted to overeat during the season. Just in case, though, Jokic brings a supply of Serbian food whenever he comes back to the States, and his parents bring him Serbian food each time they visit him. He's particularly a fan of Serbian meat. His favorite meal is a fish stew with pasta on the side. And apart from seeing his family and horses, food is another reason that Jokic loves to spend his off months in Serbia. Number 4. Jokic lives with his 2 brothers. When Nikola moved to the States, he didn't come alone. He was joined by his 2 older brothers, Nemanja and Strahinja, who both used to play basketball themselves. The 3 live in a 3-bedroom apartment in Denver, along with Nikola's girlfriend. If you've been following Nuggets games, you probably couldn't help but notice the 2 large men sitting behind the Nuggets bench whenever the team plays at the Pepsi Center. Nemanja is a former college player for Detroit Mercy, and it was at this time that he lived with NBA bust Darko Milicic, who was with the Pistons at the time. Instead of encouraging each other to get better, the 2 spent most nights out partying, and their basketball careers suffered greatly because of it. Nemanja always likes to remind Nikola not to repeat the mistakes he did, and it's fair to say that his advice is paying off, as his younger bro is now one of the best centers in the league. Number 5. Jokic has the record of the fastest triple-double in NBA history. Jokic is known throughout the league as a very complete player. With his strength and skill around the rim and a soft shooting touch, he's one of the best scorers at the center position, and his size helps him grab a lot of rebounds as well. What's unique about Jokic, though, is his never-before-seen playmaking ability at the center position, as he's considered as the best playmaking center ever, and is sometimes even referred to as point center. This has not only helped his team win, but it also helps him rack up plenty of triple-doubles in the process, and he's one of the leaders in that category in the entire league. None of them was more impressive than the 14 minutes and 33 seconds triple-double he recorded against the Bucks in February 2018, which was the fastest in NBA history, breaking a 63-year-old record. Jokic finished the game with 30 points, 15 rebounds, and 17 assists. There are many records recorded in the 50s that were thought to be unbreakable in today's game, and this was one of them. At least it was until the Joker came to the league. Number 6. He was sleeping when the Nuggets drafted him. For many NBA prospects, getting drafted is one of the best feelings they'll experience in their life, and they're usually locked in on the TV as the commissioner is presenting the picks. Jokic, on the other hand, didn't seem to care so much, as he couldn't bother to sacrifice his precious sleep in order to watch where he might end up. Considering the time zone difference and the fact that he was selected deep into the second round, hours after the draft started, it's understandable how a smart man like the Joker would make the wise decision to put his well-deserved rest above everything else. Some hours later, he woke up to about 1 million missed calls and messages, through which he found out he'd be playing for the Denver Nuggets. Number 7. The Joker was addicted to Coca-Cola. Jokic has always been a bit overweight, and the Nuggets even accepted him as much. But if you take a look at a few older pictures of the Joker, you'll realize that he now looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger compared to how he looked in the past. A large reason for this is that Nikola was addicted to Coke. Not that kind of Coke, but Coca-Cola. And he would drink 3 liters of the beverage each day. Jokic said that after each practice, he would open up a bottle and couldn't stop himself from pouring glass after glass. Thankfully, his brother Nemanja and his coach at the time convinced him to change his diet habits even before he came to the US. So he started drinking it in moderation. He had his last ever Coke during his first flight to Denver, and he's not missing it one bit. Number 8. He was discovered by accident. The majority of NBA stars have a fairly straightforward road to the NBA. They were usually one of the best players in high school and performed great in college. Jokic, however, has had quite the journey to the NBA. In fact, if it wasn't for a man called Miško Ražnatović, he probably wouldn't even be playing in the league at this point. Miško is one of the biggest basketball managers in Europe, and his managing group owns the Serbian club Mega. Mega's goal is to develop young players and sell them on to bigger clubs. One morning, when reading a newspaper, Ražnatović noticed that a junior on the Sombor high school team had 25 points and 20 rebounds. The following week, there was a similar article about the same player, which prompted Ražnatović to call his main scout and inquire about this Jokic kid. To his great surprise, the scout hadn't heard about him, as due to his excessive weight, Jokic wasn't even considered a top 100 high school player in Serbia. Ražnatović was determined to find out more about the promising center, and after he got the feedback that he wasn't just bigger and stronger than everybody, but also he was extremely skilled, he wasted no time and signed Jokic to Mega immediately. In his new club, Jokic was put on a strict training regime to lose some of the weight, and after a few months of work, he was promoted to the senior team, becoming one of its top players. Number 9. How he got the Joker nickname. Everyone knows Nikola Jokic as the Joker, but few people know how he actually got the nickname. The nickname was given to him in the early stages of his career by former teammate Mike Miller, who spent his last 2 seasons in the league with the Denver Nuggets. The reason he got the nickname is nothing spectacular. Miller simply couldn't pronounce Jokic, so he decided to add his own spin to it and started calling him the Joker. The nickname stuck with other members of the team as well, and it soon spread all across the organization. When the Nuggets announcer started using the nickname, it spread all across the league, and now everyone knows Nikola as the Joker. Nikola certainly seems to be worthy of the nickname as he loves to joke around with his teammates, and his interviews with reporters have led to some hilarious moments. And number 10, Jokic used to hate basketball. When Nikola was 10 years old, he was already much bigger than the rest of his peers, and his father was the first to see his basketball potential. When he took Nikola to his first basketball practice though, he hated it and even started crying. However, thankfully for us, after a few touches with the ball, Jokic fell in love with it and he couldn't wait for the next time he'd be back on the court. Soon after, he joined a local team in his native Sombor, and despite being overweight, he became the team's point guard and would dribble the ball up the floor, which are traits that he kept to this day and helped him tremendously in developing his handling and passing. Once his growth spurt happened, he was already more talented than the other guys with his height. And with his added size, he would find easier ways to score, making him go from a kid who hated the sport to one of its most talented players. Which one of these facts about Nikola Jokic surprised you the most? Is there something that we missed? Let us know in the comments section below. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like on the video.